Oh, baby. Okay, so with the recent announcement that the hidden inventory characters are going to be coming out in late January for the first banner, and I'm going to be assuming that the first one's going to be hidden inventory teen Gojo, followed by hidden inventory teen Ghetto, and then concluded with Toji. We're going to be looking at all three characters and determining their value, right? And looking about which one is going to create the most value for you. Now, obviously, each character is going to have their own individual recollection bit releasing with them, right? But we're not really going to be caring about that, to be completely frank, because with the recollection bits, in my personal opinion, they're so diverse and so many different options that it doesn't necessarily matter if you summon for a particular recollection bit outside, honestly, in my opinion, with Sukuna's, signature recollection bit. Other than that, you could be completely fine with SSR recollection bits that you get from the standard pulls. So we're going to be looking at all three in their release order, right? Just so we get a basic premise, and then we'll go ahead and talk about which one I believe would impact an account the best. Starting off with Saturo Gojo, teen, he is going to be of the yellow attribute. He is going to be an attacker. He's combined, so he does taijutsu and jujitsu damage. Looking at all the skills, we're going to be looking at them at all level 10. So skill 1 is going to be the melee, and there's going to be some jujitsu damage involved. It's going to attract all the allies' attacks onto him with a 35% chance, right? And it's going to fill the ultimate skill gauge more than other skills, so that's going to be, the primary reason why you use it, along with the fact that for his first couple turns, he is immune to attacks. After that, he is able to be hit for damage, so ideally you want to use this to not only fill up the ultimate skill gauge a little bit, but also, attract attacks onto yourself when he is invulnerable. Next up is going to be skill 2. This is going to be granting the attack immunity for 3 turns and decreasing his damage received by 30, or his own damage received by 30% for 3 turns, and increases his own jujitsu damage 5% for 5 turns. Not a whole lot there, honestly. Also, given the fact that it's going to be increasing his own damage by 80% and then critical hit rate by 30%. So a buffing move while also granting immunity pairs up nicely with skill 1. Skill 3 is just boonga damage, right? It's strictly just damage range jujitsu attack, and it decreases the enemy's damage by 30%. So it's going to weaken them, right? And then the ultimate is just a lot of damage. And then, the auto skills is that it's going to be granted attack immunity for 2 turns, increases his own damage received by 30% for 2 turns. So that's not really going to play into an account, given the fact that he has the attack immunity, and it's going to increase his own jujitsu damage. So in terms of damage dealing yellow characters, Gojo is right up here with Yuji, and I would say that these two are leagues above everybody else. Not really saying that there's a whole lot else there, it's just that they're really, really, really high up there in terms of yellow damage dealing characters. So that's Gojo. Ghetto is the only one of the 3 I actually don't have, but honestly I'm not that worried about it, given the fact that there's so many other supporters currently in the game that also are in the SS tier, which, I mean, I'll just go over the ones I have. Like, I have you, I have you, I have you, and I have you. I don't have both Ghettos, and I don't have the SSR Yaga. But, Ghetto is still really, really good as a debuffer and a supporting character, given the fact that, as you can see here, he's going to increase critical hit rate. He's also increasing own damage by 20%, so he's boosting himself with skill 1. Skill 2 is that he's going to be causing the enemy to receive extra jujitsu damage, as you can see up there. And then down here is that going going to increase the selected enemy's Jujitsu damage again by a certain amount, and it's effective for green type attacks. So, little specific, but still decent, right? Skill 3 is the Curse Manipulation 2. It is going to be doing the exact same stuff. It's going to be doing a combined of Taijutsu and Jujitsu damage. Increases instead, this time it's going to be Taijutsu damage. So as you can see here, roundabout, like Jujitsu, Taijutsu, he's a decent support for a bunch of different teams. And then the ultimate is going to increase his own break damage, increase his own maximum cursed energy, and recovers own cursed energy. Then with his auto skill, whenever he defeats an enemy, he's going to increase his own cursed energy by 10. The more enemies defeated at once, the greater the cursed energy recovery. So very, very strong, as you can see there. Honestly, I'm just going to say it right now, he's the weakest out of the 3. Now, the hype regarding Ghetto is that it is Team Ghetto from Hidden Inventory, so people are going to be really excited, but honestly, between the 3, he's definitely the weakest. Toji, I've spoken at length about him. He is a taijutsu monster. That's all he does. There's no jujitsu. You got skills in his kit to do a lot, right? So skill 1 is going to be the one to decrease the enemy's critical hit resistance. Skill 2 is going to be nullifying the enemy's damage received effects. So if they have like a nullify damage, you're going to be using that, and it's going to be just taking that away. Also going to be doing 3 hits. Very, very good. Skill 3 is going to be the one that increases the break damage. Also, it's going to remove attack nullification and remove 1 buff by the selected enemy. Overall, though, they do a lot of damage per hit. And then the ultimate is going to be very strong. It's going to also remove attack nullification and 1 debuff for all enemies. And it's going to be a taijutsu attack that attacks every enemy. However, saying that, Toji's real assets are in his skills. You can see here the physically gifted, the heavenly restriction. It's going to be increasing his own taijutsu damage by 50%, recovers own HP by 3.5% every turn, and reduces his own damage received by 15%. It's also going to be granting him an attack immunity to himself. He also has a 20% chance to evade enemy attacks, which is very good. And whenever he performs a critical hit, it's going to increase the guaranteed hit status to himself by 50%. So you see that he has that possibility of evading attacks while also allowing, increased chance of being hit. But he has that possibility to evade the attack. And then the other ability is I think I'm getting my edge back now. Whenever he performs a critical hit, it's going to be boosting his taijutsu damage. And then when the previous effect is activated for 3 turns, and then you activate it again, instead of 15, it's going to go up to 25%. So very, very strong, right? So like I mentioned, all 3 are in SS tier, and they are all different colors, which is a huge thing, right? I will say, like I mentioned, I do think that Ghetto is the weakest. I'm not saying he's absolutely terrible. I just think personally he is the weakest out of the 3 in a vacuum with these 3 units. If it is a vacuum with just characters overall in the game, I still think he's decently strong, but there's other better supporters in the game. I mean, we just look here on the support list. You have SR Yaga right here, who's an absolute monster. Pair him up with SR Nanami, and they are, really powerful. I personally use them on everything just because I like them, and they're both SRs, and they're both Limit Break level 5. So it just makes a lot of sense for me to use that and not spend cubes, right? However, in terms of DPS, right? So, as I mentioned, Gojo only has 1 real competition, that being Zone Yuji, whereas Toji has actual competition in terms of his damage capabilities, being a red unit with Yuta Domain Expansion Gojo, which will be coming out in the future, right? And then you also have other characters like Nimble Body Yuji, as well as Nobara right here. So that's saying that, though, Toji's is also capable of doing one thing that only one other character in the game is capable of doing, that being able to solo content by himself. The only other character obviously being Sukuna, however he heals for a greater amount. Toji, with that heavenly restriction capability allowing to heal himself, is something that only Sukuna is able to do in the game. in terms of damage output and in healing. So that is a huge plus for him. But the fact that he is a red unit and he's competing with other red units hinders him a little bit, where, like I mentioned in comparison, Gojo is only competing with one other yellow unit for top DPS character in the game. So in terms of 2 and 3, honestly, I would say they're interchangeable for whoever you want to go to. I do predict Gojo coming out first, and I do think Toji is going to be the last one to come out, falling in line with what happened on JP. But for me personally, I do think Toji is the better out of the 3. I think he is the most valuable, followed very closely behind Gojo. But like I mentioned though, if you do want to make an argument for Gojo being stronger, by all means go for it. I'm not going to argue because they're that good. But yeah, that's what I think. So make sure you save your cubes. I personally will be doing summons for them when they do come out. I have, I think, 7 multis of free gems just already saved up. So I do plan on most likely live streaming them. So make sure you stick around for that, and I'll see you all within the next video.